Welcome to the Explainer. Okay, today we're breaking down a pretty incredible 21-day method, one that promises something huge, the ability to literally rewrite the code in your mind. So, the whole thing starts with this really powerful question. I want you to think about this for a second. What if 70% of the directions guiding your life are just wrong? Imagine your mind is like a GPS, right? It's always giving you directions. But what if the majority of those directions, the ones running on autopilot, are actually taking you further and further away from where you really want to be? Well, that faulty internal GPS, that's what this method calls the invisible code. It's this set of subconscious programs, kind of like software, that was written a long, long time ago. And it's just running in the background all the time. It dictates how you think, how you feel, how you act, and most of the time, you don't even know it's happening. So how does this code even get written? It's pretty wild when you look at the research. They estimate that by the time we're 18 years old, we've heard no or you can't more than 140,000 times. Just think about that. Each one of those is like a little line of code being added, hardwiring all these limitations right into who we think we are. Okay, so here's how we're going to break this down. We'll start with that invisible code, then look at the chain reaction it causes. After that, we'll jump into week 1 and week 2 of the method. And finally, we'll see the transformation that happens at the end. All right, section 2, the chain reaction of results. So how does your inner programming actually create your outer reality? Most of us, when we want different results, we try to change our actions, right? But this method argues that's like, trying to fix a software bug by just typing faster. It's not going to work because you're starting in the wrong place. See, it all comes down to what's called the results chain. And you can see the flow right here. It's a domino effect. It starts with your fundamental programming. That code then creates your beliefs about the world. Those beliefs shape your attitudes. Your attitudes influence your feelings. Your feelings, well, they drive your actions. And only at the very, very end of all of that do you get your results. And here's the real kicker. If that code at the very top is faulty, then everything that follows is built on a shaky foundation. Your beliefs, your actions, and your results. They'll always reflect that faulty code. So if you really want to change your life, you can't just tinker with your actions. You have to go all the way back to the source. You have to change the programming. Okay, so that brings us right into the first week of the program. This whole week is about one thing, awareness. The goal is super simple. Make the invisible visible. The goal for this first week is, well, it's simple, but it's not exactly easy. The goal is just to catch the thought. That's it. Your only job is to start noticing those internal scripts, those automatic thoughts that just pop up. And here's the key. You do it without judgment. You're just gathering data. After all, you can't change what you don't even know is there, right? And you can see how this builds over the week. You start on day 1 just noticing. That's it. By day 3, you're making a conscious choice, declaring, hey, I am not my old story. Then on day 4, you learn a really crucial concept. Repetition is the rewire. This is how the brain actually changes. And by the end of the week, you're actively starting to release those old phrases you've caught yourself saying, like, I can't. All right, so that's week 1. Now let's get into week 2, because this is where things get really interesting. You've spent a week just observing the old code. Now you move into the active phase, rewriting the script. Now, the central idea in week 2 is really powerful. It completely rejects what it calls the myth of willpower. You know that thing we all do, where we try to just stop having a negative thought? Yeah, that doesn't work. It's like trying not to think of a pink elephant. Instead, this method uses something called targeted replacement. You don't just fight the old thought. You actively choose a better one to put in its place. You literally flip the script. And here's exactly what that looks like in practice. So let's say your old thought is, ugh, my day just runs me. Instead of wrestling with that, you replace it. You install a new script. I am organized and capable. Or what about that old story, I'm just not creative? Nope, you replace it with, I am creative, resourceful, and full of fresh ideas. It's a systematic upgrade, one thought at a time. And to help make this new code stick even faster, the method introduces what it calls accelerators. Things like gratitude, for example. When you feel grateful, it's like sending a signal to your brain that says, hey, keep this feeling, this is good. It reinforces the new program. And physical movement is another big one. Actually standing up and saying your new script out loud with energy, it creates a much stronger imprint. Your body literally helps your mind install the new belief. Okay, so you've done the work, 2 weeks of awareness, of rewriting. That brings us to the final phase, the transformation. This is where it all comes together. It's the shift from thinking, okay, I'm learning this new thing, to realizing, wait, this is just who I am now. This is how I live. And after the full 21 days, the results people report are pretty incredible. You see these huge shifts both on the inside and the outside. We're talking about things like greater peace of mind, sure, and this real authentic confidence, but also really tangible stuff, like being more productive but with less stress, and having a much, much stronger sense of purpose and direction. But the ultimate goal here isn't just to feel a little better or get more done. It goes deeper than that. The real goal is a fundamental identity shift. It's about you reclaiming authorship over your own life. You stop being a passenger driven by old programming and you get in the driver's seat. You become your own coach, your own biggest cheerleader. And this quote, this really sums up the whole philosophy, doesn't it? You either change your programming or your programming changes you. It's that simple. It's a choice. Either you take control and consciously rewrite that inner code, or you just let the old, outdated software keep running your life for you. And that's really what this all boils down to. It ends with a question for you. You've seen how the method works, you get the ideas behind it, so the only question left is, are you ready to rewrite yours?